Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to share 4 things that you should expect when skydiving. I went skydiving last year on August 2nd. I remember that specific date just because it was my dad's birthday. So if I didn't return home, it would have been a very sad skydive. But before I jump right into it, I ran into an article. I came across the youngest skydiver in the world. The article is called "German Boy, 4 years of age sets record with skydiving." So this boy named Tony Sadler went skydiving in Cape Town in South Africa. He was accompanied by his parents that oddly gave him consent. Apparently growing up, this child always had ambitions and always wanted to go skydiving. So the parents was like, what the heck? Let's put the kid onto another stranger and make the skydive so that we can record world Guinness records. Regardless of your opinion, he made it alive. So I'm going to be sharing 4 things you should expect when skydiving, starting with number 1, the cost. And people always come asking me, how much does it cost to go skydiving? And the answer varies depending where you are skydiving. I went skydiving in an area in Ontario, south of Ontario in Burnaby, and this costed me $300 for the skydive. And you also had to make a $50 deposit. Now, I also looked at other places across Canada and I saw the price range anywhere between as low as $250 and as high as $330, max $350. And typically, you would have to put a deposit down. Mine was $50, so I put a $50 deposit in and a secure date, and you would have to arrive there anywhere between 2 hours to 3 hours earlier in advance. When you arrive there and you're signing your life away, the person behind the counters who will tell you,
well, do you want video?
I remember being baffled because I was like, $300 a lot. I have to pay another $200 for the videos. I wouldn't call it a hidden charge, but you're gonna have to pay because once you're there, let's be real. You're gonna pay $200 or whatever the cost is to capture the video, because essentially you're paying for another person to jump out of the plane with a camera on their head so they can record your every movement. And so the entire experience with the skydive and the video of it will cost you around $500 for that particular day. And usually you're driving super far out because you're not skydiving in the city. But yeah, I had no idea that it was gonna be that expensive. So that's the price to go skydiving. And now we're gonna go to part 2. Point number two, and this one's quite obvious, but you will be nervous. And I still remember the days leading up to the skydive. I was basically peeing my pants. The day of, I remember waking up and I remember driving out with my friend. You're excited, but you're still scared. You see an airplane on and up in the sky. You're thinking to yourself, that's gonna be me jumping out of that. It's totally fine, because I bet you probably made the decision to go skydiving out on a whim, drunken night, or a friend of yours asked you to go skydiving and you couldn't say no, so you're like, what the heck? But needless to say, I remember when you're actually there, a lot of the fear is taken away, and I think a lot of it has to do with just seeing everyone else there. Usually just being in a crowd with other people and seeing them also do the skydive, it gives you a lot more confidence. My one advice is that you will be nervous, which is pretty obvious, but always remember that these are professionals. They do it for a living. But it doesn't really matter, because no matter how much they tell you and how much safety precautions in the back of your mind when you're leading up and you're going up in the plane, there's always that fear leading up to the very moments of when they open the window and they say on 3, 2, 1, and then you're out. Wow, just thinking about it is actually pretty fun itself. But anyhow, don't be scared, embrace it, and you should be fine. Now we're gonna lead to the third thing. The third thing you should expect when skydiving, and that is the training involved. Because by all means, I thought they were just gonna tie me to another person out of the plane and I will potentially die or live. But it's not that case. There's a lot of training involved before you actually head over to the plane. I remember after you signed your forms, you are waiting in a designated spot, and then there'll be a person that will call you into a room for further instructions. And in that room, there's an instructor in the middle. There is everyone else that's gonna be part of the jump, or that's gonna be in the same plane as you when you go skydiving. And I remember the instructor told us all to lay flat on our bellies and told us all to kind of do like a arc with your back. Essentially, that's what you're gonna be doing when you leave the plane. Shortly after that, that's when they bring you over to the room where you're suited up in the jumpsuit. You're there up until the time they tell you it's your turn to go in the jump. In between those two sessions, you'll be assigned an instructor that will ultimately be doing the jump with you, and they're gonna be giving you a further real life scenario where you're headed over to kind of like a play structure that looks like a mock version of the window that you're jumping out. And your instructor is gonna be telling you exactly what's it gonna be like once you're up in the plane and you jump and what he wants you to do. I think I have a video of that in my original clip, so I'll include that. Your odds of dying is slim to none. I have the Google statistic out for right here. It says there's a 0.0007 chance of potentially dying, and when you're driving, you have a 0.0167% of dying. I didn't make up the statistic, it says it right here, but needless to say, your instructor has done multiple jumps. They've done hundreds, if not thousands of jumps. That's what they do every single day. I remember my instructor has stated that he used to be part of the military. They've done it so many times that I remember when you're waiting on the plane, they're joking with one another, tending to be asleep. The long and the short of it is they provide lots of training right before you make the jump so that you are prepared and you know exactly what to do when you jump out of that plane. We're going to jump to the fourth thing you should expect when skydiving. Okay, so this is now the fourth and last point of what you should expect when free falling. When it's your time, you'll see a green light and your instructor will tell you to go up to the window, and on a count of 3, that's when you make the jump. They'll usually be like 3, 2, 1, and then you're out the window. And for the first 30 seconds, you're screaming, you don't even know what's going on. The entire free fall is actually 1 full minute. And within the 20 to 30 seconds, that's when your instructor will actually flatten your entire body, and you can actually see downwards as opposed to just being head down, not knowing what's going on. But once you actually level off, you have a lot more control than I always thought. Once you're flattened, the person that you paid a lovely $200 will come to you, and you can play games like rock, paper, scissors, or usually they'll extend their arm and you'll extend yours at the same time, and you'd be like, oh wow, that's so cool. And then after a minute or a minute and a half, that's when they'll deploy the parachute, and your ears will pop, and you're just gliding all the way down. Your instructor will sometimes ask you if you want to, hold the parachute yourself, and then they'll tell you to, if you want to pull inward, that's when it's almost like free falling a little bit, but you're doing kind of like loops. But I advise don't do too many, because I thought after the first 2, my instructor asked me if I want to do a third, and I said yeah, and that's when I started getting fairly sick. But once I got to the ground, you almost feel like a rush that you can quote unquote do anything, and that's what to expect when you jump out of the plane. Okay, so those are the 4 things that you should expect when skydiving. Expect it to be roughly $500 for both the skydive and the video. You will be nervous when going skydiving. You will receive lots of training, from video footage to the actual demonstration, leading all the way to when you make the jump. If you made it all the way to the video, I want to thank you for watching it. In other news, I am moving to my new apartment for December 1st. I'm excited to move. I've been in this is actually my sister's place. I've been living here for the last month and a bit. So I'm gonna have my new place, so I expect a new video, me moving to my new place, and I'm excited to share that all with you. Wish you all the best, keep safe, have a good one.